Some Princess Bride references there.
Oh, there's me, adjusting my mask.
Hey, there's no time like the present to,
Technology. Are we live now?
Sweet!
So here's an example of having to do something over. Let's do it all over.
Do we really have to make the Facebook?
What?
The Facebook people learn how to applaud?
Oh, no. I guess we don't have to do that part.
Should read all the announcements again?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe read the announcements.
All right. I'll address the wonderful audience tuning in live on YouTube. We are broadcasting this right now live on YouTube, and if you're watching and joining us from anywhere in the world, thank you for joining. If you want to learn more about what the Wild Rose Moon is and does and our upcoming events, please visit wildrosemoon.com, where you can learn about all of our upcoming events as well as learn about membership options and about our history. For those of you in person, please stick around. And for those of you watching online, we sure hope to see you at an upcoming event. With that, it's time to turn it over to the host of the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour, George Schricker.
All right. Well, I think we can get this thing started. What about you, John?
Well, first, could you introduce me as your favorite person?
And Nate?
Well,
are we ready?
I'm good. I just don't want to get in any kind of fisticuffs.
Okay, everybody.
John over being your
John
favorite
Baylor,
person.
my favorite person.
Thank you.
In every life, some rain must fall, and you'll get wet as your sorrow calls. Oh, the sun will rise on a brand new morn. You'll be warm and dry and freshly born.
With support from Judith Robert and in the memory of our good friend Tom Kapazinskas, and with additional support from Marshall County Community Foundation and the Indiana Arts Commission, Marshall County Tourism, and E. Lee Marshall. From historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, where the Lincoln Highway and the Michigan Road cross the banks of the beautiful Yellow River, it's the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. Tonight's show features the work of two Hoosier songwriters from right here in the Yellow River land. Their Bandcamp site is overflowing with music and the work of other songwriters from around the world. These two talented musicians live in North Judson, Indiana, and take the creation of songs and the production of recordings very seriously. Influenced by a wide variety of musical interests, from jazz to rock, techno to folk, their arrangements are full of rich tapestries of sound. Their lyrics are influenced by local and family history and the sights and sounds of the flowers, trees, plants, and animals that inhabit the Midwestern prairies and marshlands. This is a band committed to composing on the world platform that the web enables, and many of their songs are layered with performances from incredible players and songwriters from around the world. Their CDs are each designed with an artfully created cover and beautiful liner notes, having inventive names: Overflown, Blinking in the Brackens, the Briars and the Broom, and On a Dream Sea. Each album is full of an assortment of sonic surprises featuring unique instrumentation artfully blended into a themed presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome the remarkable and generous-hearted Corinne and Marty Lucas of Return to Normal. Also on hand with us tonight is another big-hearted singer-songwriter, this time from South Bend, Indiana. He'll be singing and playing a recently penned song accompanied by Wild Rose Moon favorite Jerry Mitchell on snare with brushes. Join us in welcoming Doug Harsh to the Wild Rose Moon. And now, recorded live from the Wild Rose Moon Performing Arts Center in historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, where the Art Deco Reese Theater is soon to enjoy its second lifetime of excitement and inspiration for the benefit of all the local and regional community. Here's the radical rascal of all things lunar, or lunatic, your radio hour host, George Stricker.
The river goes round, around the bend. The river goes round, round, round till the very end. And when it stops, woo, it starts again. It won't be long till the river goes round. It won't be long till the river goes round and round and round, my friend. Well, thank you very much, Matt, for that wonderful introduction. And what have you been doing this week? All of a sudden, you're our announcer. You're taking over from Jacob Marino.
Well, not taking over. He can have it when he comes back. I'm just filling in. I don't want to take it.
Yeah, he's feeling a little under the weather today.
Yeah, we're thinking about him today.
Yeah, so what have you been doing this week?
Well, you should know I've been right here alongside you every day of this week.
Well, but you've got all kinds of exciting projects you're doing on your own. You've got these interviews and what is that called with Matt?
Music with Matt.
Music with Matt online. And how do you get to that?
Well, I was
just type it in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just type it in on YouTube.
Type in music with Matt. He's got the most fascinating interviews with all kinds of musical people. And John Baylor, how have you been? You've been teaching
George.
school, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to. I don't know if anybody's learning anything or not. I don't know if you can call it teaching if they're not.
Well, if you got some magical formulas these days that kind of get those kids involved?
No, I'm not very good with formulas. Every time I figure something out, then I got to scrap it and start over again.
Well, that happens in education, I think.
Yeah.
You got to just do what. Anyway, do you have any words of advice about what do you give kind of, if you advise your students as they're going out into the room, or into the world, I mean?
Oh, well, I thought you were going to ask for advice for teachers.
Oh, I'll take that.
So when you said words of advice, that's where my mind went right away.
Okay.
And I would say just bring in a guitar, just play that and sing to them. Because I have students who will come back to me and they'll say, Mr. Baylor, I've missed your class so much. And so I ask, well, thank you. What did you miss about it? Or what did you like about it? And they won't say anything about, what they learned.
Right. It's just those songs, right?
Yeah, I like that you used to sing to us. So, well, that's still worth something.
And speaking of singing to us, we have two wonderful guests with us today, Corinne and Marty Lucas, and they're over here from North Judson. Give them a nice hand again. I'm a great fan of your work. It's masterful stuff. I love it. And one thing I'm really intrigued by is how each of these songs, whenever I talk to you about them, or when you talk about them, has an incredible creation story, almost behind the song itself. And I think that's so interesting that there's as much story in front of the song as there is in the song. I just think that's fascinating, a way to work.
Yeah, it's true. I always isn't that the way folk music works? And it makes us ultimately folk because, in a folk performance, typically, the artists they talk about the music for like twice as long as they play it. Actually,
yeah.
That's kind of typical because there's a lot of story, there's history, and a lot of times we have songs that have roots in songs going back a long ways. And a lot of times people say oldie. Talk about an oldie, and an oldie is a song that is like 5 years old, but we kind of more like an oldie is a couple hundred years old sometimes in our case, and we find ways to draw into this history and hopefully make it fresh and new at the same time. That's one of the things we go back to over and over again, and it seems to work, don't you think?
And what I was intrigued about is how do you work on a song together? How does that work out between when you're working it out?
Well, sometimes I'll be talking about an experience that I had, and then that'll turn into a song, especially something that's been happening in our small town usually, or one of the small towns that we both work in. Just talking about relationships and how those change, and then that can evolve into a song.
That's great. And you're both very community-minded, and Corinne, you work down in Rochester, right?
I do. I work at the Northern Indiana Community Foundation. So we're Fulton, Miami, and Stark counties.
Right. And Marty, you're a small town
I'm an
lawyer.
attorney. For a long time, I've been the Stark County attorney, but I just quit doing that, actually, and I'm doing some other things now. After a long run there, I was kind of ready to try some other things before I was too old to try anything new.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask you more questions, but I think everybody wants to hear a song. So
I woke from dreaming. Every little thing I owned was piled up in the river's mud. The waters streaming. I tossed aside the sodden logs, my clothes and boxes in the flood. Release these things, let them go. See the water, watch it flow. I stood there singing a melody by Edith Piaf, a man from France. He had to laugh. He said, we are surrounded by skeletons and souvenirs and places changed by time or death. Release these things, let them go. See the water, watch it flow. Release these things. Release these things. Release these, release these things. Ooh, release these things. Release these things. Watch it flow.
It's like a prayer. Beautiful, beautiful song. I thought about asking you more questions, but what I'd really like you to do is take a little while to introduce your next song. Could you do that for me?
Next song is kind of a special one to us because this is about the horrible toll of the opioid epidemic, and not just our community or our region, but really it's widespread throughout the U.S. And I don't know if I think I saw that the total number of deaths from it exceeded 500,000 this year.
Right.
In my law practice, I saw a lot of this, and people do a lot of name calling or blaming or whatever, and this is just an effort to describe how this terrible event affected individual people that are in the story, but really without blaming anybody in particular.
Right.
Just trying to, facing the reality that these things are complicated, and we're not going to try to vilify anyone, but we do need to recognize the issue problem. We actually debuted this song right here in the Wild Rose Moon about 4 years ago, maybe. Wait, it's a little longer even.
Yeah, it was written when we were asked to play at a Valentine's thing.
That's right.
And they wanted love songs.
And it was a love.
It's a lost love song.
A lost love song, and also about a song of a person's love for a pill.
Yeah.
It's based on the name of the song is what might have been a sign that you would see driving down the road, and it says, "Dr. Payne. You have pain? Get here." So anyway, it's, a friend of ours from Britain, England, described this song aptly. He called it a rural Gothic.
You were swapping out a tire on a double axle dump by the side, a total road. But the frame was getting rusty. It must have cracked above the jack, and it shifted the load. Oh, you tried to hold the handle, but you heard something snap and got the biggest pain you ever knowed. Now it's 49 miles to the ER. 2 weeks waiting for the surgery. 90 days in bed in the dark. By then you wasn't taken to no therapy. Oxycontin, oh Oxycontin. First the pink ones and the gold, and now the blue. Oxycontin, that's all that's left of you. Now I don't doubt the suffering you were in was quite severe. You never been the kind who would malinger. But ever since the day you got that script from Dr. Payne, you don't feel anything. Damn, you hardly lift a finger. Now it's 29 months of living in your scars. It's fading away, fading like your memory. Counting days jar, and still you ain't into taking no therapy. Oxycontin, oh Oxycontin. First the pink ones, then the gold, and now the blue. Oxycontin, oh that Oxycontin. First the pink ones and the gold, and now the blue. Oxycontin, that's all that I'll leave you. Oxycontin, that's all that I'll leave you. It's all you need. It's all you really need.
A powerful, powerful song. You move truly within a sort of literary tradition, so you must have always loved reading.
Yeah, and storytelling of all kinds, really.
And you both do.
Including songwriting, storytelling.
Right, and you enjoy it too. You have your own reading.
Oh, yes. We're big readers.
That's great.
Yeah. I love this story, though. Of course, Marty taught himself to read when he was just a tot, of course.
Yes.
They
He's
took me.
exceptional.
They took me into. They had to investigate this phenomenon, and they took me. I was like, I don't know, 4 years old or something. They took me into this. We need to. So we understand you learned how to read. How did this happen? I go, well, we have a television. And I go, what do you mean you have a television? Well, they run a lot of advertisements. You go, speak up, boy. What do you mean? I go, well, a lot of times they say the same thing that they have on the screen. It's kind of obvious, isn't it? I suppose TV was just coming in at that time. I'm sure that this is like
That's true.
constant now, but it was
Right.
like, how did this happen? It's that evil thing called television.
Yes. Yeah, back with, what was it, Bozo the Clown? And
He kind of scared me, though. I don't know.
yeah, Bozo. And
Well, I liked Romper Room, but of course, she never said my name.
she never said, no.
Mary got mentioned a lot, but Corinne rarely got mentioned, yeah.
Okay, well, we will talk more about childhood in our next section together. But right now, we're
This
going to
next
take a
one
little
has an
break.
interesting
We're going
backstory.
to take a little break.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to take a little break right now, and then we'll come back and interview more with Return to Normal. And coming up next, we have another songwriter from South Bend, Indiana, just 25 minutes north of here, a talented guy, South Bend's Doug Harsh.
With support from Judith Robert and in memory of our dear friend Tom Kapazinskis and from the generosity of the Marshall County Community Foundation, the Indiana Arts Commission, Gibson Foundation, and E. Lee Marshall, you're listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Well, welcome back to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour, and we're here with South Bend's own troubadour here, Doug Harsh. And boy, you've been down here at the Moon a number of times, and we just love seeing you.
I hope I haven't overstayed my welcome down here.
No,
Not yet.
But you know, you have, I read in your bio that you call your music rockin' Americana folk, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's very close. Very close.
It's sort of a blend of things then. It's kind of
yeah, it's a stew, I would say, of a lot of things.
mixed together.
Yeah, don't you love stews? I mean, especially on a cold day like this. Like, you put all those different things in the pot, and all of a sudden they kind of glue together in this yummy. That's kind of what I'm going for, is just a little bit of yummy in my music.
Maybe we should just break for a meal.
I'm feeling that.
Anyway, tell us about the song you're going to do.
Well, this song I like to say is a love song in reverse. And it's not like, hey, you're awesome and I want to be with you. It's kind of what happens after. And unfortunately, as humans, we can time travel, but always in reverse. And so there's these things that kind of hang around in our memory that we just can't seem to let go of. And a lot of them kind of revolve around love. And so I wrote this song. It's called Save It for Another Day. Well, I thought I'd write a song for those good times come and gone. A bitter glimpse of our storied past. Do you remember way back when we wouldn't dare pretend? 'Cause we thought all those feelings would last. Before a loneliness crept in like a shadow, before those promises of love were cast away. There's a tear in my eye, though you shouldn't be surprised. I'll save it for another day. I remember all those times you said that you'd be mine. Every moment we spent, well, that song came undone long before it had begun, and its chorus just came and went. But now that melody keeps coming back to haunt me, and all those promises are fading away. I keep looking back, but I'm not gonna crack. I'll save it for another day. All right, come on. I can hardly stand to see this circle in my hand become such a sorry souvenir. I've been holding on to gold, never thought it'd feel so cold. You left and the warmth just disappeared. Like every joyful remembrance of our story, like every hope that surely passed away. And those dreams of my heart have all broken apart, but I'll save it for another day. I'll save it for another day. Guess I'll save it for another day.
Boys and girls, from our hometown to yours, the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour presents our very own audience participation quiz show, Shoot the Moon.
It don't matter to me how smart you are. Maybe you're a big buffoon. You don't need to be quick on the draw. All you gotta do is shoot the moon. Shoot the moon. Shoot the moon.
And now here's the host of Shoot the Moon, the original colonist of little used words and an often chuffy, twistical, and gut-foundered fellow of jollification, George Schricker.
Thank you, Matt, for that jollified introduction. I appreciate it. I'm going to call up today's contestants. And would you mind reading the rules of this woefully contrived yet mentally challenging extravaganza?
Absolutely.
And,
Let's
okay,
do
good.
it.
And we want Becky Reinbold, is it? And Kay Reinbold.
Prior to the show, audience members indicate their willingness to participate in Shoot the Moon by supplying an answer to this insane survey question. Are you now, or have you ever been, a student of behavioral psychology? And with that question answered in a random manner with any number of attendant variables, distinguishing the method a person might freely choose, or so they may deceptively think, in the affirmative, and as a result be needlessly subjected to this further interrogation, are you ready, willing, and able to gently assess your remarkable yet environmentally predetermined being in an often silly and self-deprecating manner for the futile attempt to answer a series of often ill-conceived questions and and from a collection of audience members who have learned to push a button to ask for cheese and simultaneously answering in the affirmative, meaning in this very instant with the word yes, exactly 2 contestants are selected to play Shoot the Moon. So now let's play Shoot the Moon.
All right, Kay Reinbold, you're from North Judson.
I am.
My great-grandfather was from North Judson.
I know. There's a plaque uptown.
Oh my gosh. Well, you were originally from Chicago, though.
I was.
And you're retired. You don't want to say from what, but you're
Well,
retired.
we had a Republic, we still do though, but I'm mostly retired from a weekly shopper paper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Those are in my mailbox often. And you often attend to the things inside and buy things, and it's a great way to sell stuff. You love traveling and your family and your community. That's wonderful. We're all about community here at Wild Rose Moon. And you're a grandma?
I am.
How many times?
8.
8 times. That's great. Well, you have a full life then, a very full life. And Becky Reinbold, are you related to this person?
I am.
And in what way?
I am her daughter.
Oh, and you're also
Her
from North.
favorite daughter.
Okay. Well, how lovely. It's nice that no wonder she brought you with her. Okay, so your occupation is unusual. You're a fair trade retailer, is that correct?
That's right.
What does that mean?
So I sell products that are made by people who get a fair wage and for their work that they do. So
Oh,
the
how
focus
wonderful.
they're mostly from places around the world.
Oh,
But I
I've
also
been to
sell
these
things
shops.
made in
The
the
shops,
US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been to that's a wonderful thing to do. Wonderful thing. Great. And you plant native plants?
I'm learning. So
Okay.
yeah.
And you found out
It's a new
about us
hobby.
through WVPE. That's wonderful. We really appreciate their support. Now, Grandma, excuse me,
Yeah.
Kay, can you choose one of these wonderful titles, or do you want to read them? They're not probably in your script, are they?
They're not.
Okay.
It's a blank space.
I'll read them. Getting Downy in the Old Hometowny. Ode Modes, Baked in Jazz, and Biblio Boris. And these are all tied to these lovely people up here, these
Wow.
biographical questions.
I don't know. I'll go with the number 1.
Getting Downy in the Old Hometowny. Okay. That's good. Now I have to get to my questions, which are awkwardly placed behind everything else. Okay. Hold on just a minute here. Okay. Usually I staple them to the board. Okay. Corinne Lucas of the band Return to Normal grew up in Bourbon, Indiana, not more than 10 miles from here. Corinne began playing piano at the age of 5. Through her schooling, she wound up developing a passion for music and even played in a band in high school. Is that correct? And many of these members still play in bands? Do you know any of these people?
Sure, oh, sure. Look
Could-
at Bourbon. Everybody knows somebody from
Oh,
Bourbon.
you couldn't name a few, could you? Could you actually name a few of these people?
Sure, Rich Brunk, one of my all-time old friends from way back.
Yeah.
Rick Hoffer, he still plays too. He plays in Warsaw area. Rich also plays in, and Tony Thompson, he was their drummer, and he lives. They all ended up in Warsaw. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, every year, Bourbon holds a festival, and it has fireworks and food booths and live entertainment and a car show. The name of this festival is, you get a choice. It's
Oh, I got a
multiple
choice,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is it the Bourbon Sipping Festival? Owing to the town's being named after Bourbon County in Kentucky, where some of the best bourbon whiskeys were ever made, a bourbon queen is chosen, and people win prizes for the best decorated bourbon bottles. Usually a big country act is planned. This year it's a Garth Brooks impersonator. Is it A? That's A.
Okay.
Is it B? Is it the Bourbon Summer Festival, a 3-day festival which begins with the annual Little Miss Summerfest pageant in the Triton High School auditorium. The pageant leads the festivities so the new Little Miss Summerfest can ride in her crown during the following morning's parade. Or, that's B, or is it C, Westworld Festival, held at Westwood Park. This festival features a cowboy-themed amusement park where you can practice your paintball with townsfolk dressed up like Yul Brynner. In addition, there's a mechanical bull for riding and a cattle roping contest. Is it A, B, or C? Is it the Bourbon Sipping Festival, the Bourbon Summer Festival, or Westworld Festival?
Well, I would love to go to a bourbon festival, but I don't think that's it. I think it's B.
You think it's B, the Bourbon Summer Festival?
Yeah.
That is exactly correct. Give her a big hand. Okay, shall we just move down the page here?
Sure.
Okay, Ode Modes. Here we go. Return to Normal Roots album, Overflown, contains one of their most intricate displays of musical and lyrical composition. In the song, Ode to Overflow, here Marty follows an ancient Pindaric ode structure through the entire song. Now, Pindar employed this triadic structure attributed to Staes Chorus, is that how you say it? You don't know. Consists.
I don't speak Greek, though.
Okay, it consists of a strophe, or 2 or more lines, repeated as a unit, followed by a metrically harmonious antistrophe. I should have looked these up beforehand. Concluding with a summary line called an epode in a different meter. So, what is the original purpose of a Pindaric ode? Celebration of victory and an oral preservation of great deeds. That's A. B. An offering to the gods in gratitude for the gift of song and dance. Or C. An oath of lasting love between strangers, a true dedication of friendship. A. A celebration of victory. B. An offering to the gods in gratitude. C. An oath of lasting love.
Where is your kid when you need him? He's a music minor in college. He probably would know this. But I like C, because I thought of love first, because we played Ode to Joy at our wedding, so.
That's what I want it to be too, but no.
It's free association.
No,
but
it's the
I wanted-
celebration of victory and
Okay.
an oral preservation of great deeds. Is that correct?
It is, and the irony of it is Ode to the Overflow is about failure, so it kind of turns it on its head.
Yeah, it's fascinating, fascinating. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. We've got to go back to your mother here. She's, okay, one baked in jazz, right? You're a big
Yeah,
jazz
sure.
fan? Are you a big jazz?
No.
Oh, good.
No, I'm not.
Good, because it tore. Okay, baked in jazz. Dave Baker was born in Indianapolis and was best known as an educator and founder of the Jazz Studies program at Indiana University's Jacobs School of Music. Did you know that about Dave Baker?
No.
I didn't
Now
know. I didn't know until I met Marty. From 1991 to 2012, he was conductor and musical and artistic director for the Smithsonian Jazz Masterworks Orchestra. He has more than 65 recordings, 70 books, and 400 articles to his credit. The John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts named him a living jazz legend in 2007. However, after earning his master's degree from Indiana in 1954, he began teaching at Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri in 1955. Lincoln, a historically black institution, had recently begun to admit white students to diversify its student body. However, Baker had to resign from his teaching position because A, his teaching methods were deemed too radical for the school, B, because he married Eugenia Marie Jones, a white opera singer, or C, he had a car accident that prevented him from playing the trombone.
Oh boy, I'm going to go. I'll try C.
No, it's because he married Eugenia Jean Maria Jones, a white opera singer, and due to Missouri's anti-miscegenation.
Miscegenation, yeah. Miscegenation.
Was this
Laws.
1930s? Is that
It
what
was, no, it was,
No,
we're
it was-
talking
but it was in
55.
Missouri.
Oh my God, 50s.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway, a very interesting guy. Can you tell us a little bit?
Oh, what a great teacher. I mean, you know, he was just a constant inspiration. I'd already had a couple of decent, jazz instructors before that, but having him as, a jazz instructor was really a special experience. I was the only person in the class that wasn't a music major, but he didn't mind that, and he even came to, when my rock band was playing at the Bluebird one time, he came to see the show and was very supportive, and I still constantly refer to the things I learned from him in music all the time, actually.
Yeah.
Even though our music isn't jazz at all, it is rooted in jazz harmonic structure. So.
Yeah. Great guy. Great guy. Okay. What's our score, by the way, Matt?
We have a tie.
We have a
1
tie.
to 1.
Okay. We're going to it. Okay, here's your opportunity. Biblio Borges. Okay? Jorge Luis Borges, I really ruined that, was an Argentinian short story writer who heavily influenced the magical realism movement in the 20th century in Latin American story. A very inventive writer, his intriguing book of stories, Book of Sand, was derived from mathematical set theory. Borges represented the humanist view of media that stressed the social aspect of art driven by emotion. If art represented the tool, then Borges was more interested in how the tool could be used to relate to other people. So art for him was a way of relating. He was a man of many words, but what words did he say about the concept of paradise? Paradise. Did he say, A, a well-told story is the ultimate source of paradise? B, I always imagined paradise to be some kind of library. And C, paradise is watching a man slip on ice and being grateful it wasn't you.
Wow. Those are some interesting answers. I want to know who did say all those three things if it wasn't Borges. But I think I'll go with A.
A story well told is the ultimate source of paradise. I'm sorry, no. I always imagined paradise to be some kind of library.
Yeah, that was my second choice.
But that's very good, you know. His Edwin Williamson, his biographer, writes that Borges, his basic contention was that fiction did not depend on the illusion of reality. What mattered ultimately was an author's ability to generate poetic faith in his reader. Very interesting stuff. Very good.
He was known as El Ciego Bibliotecario, the blind librarian, because his job actually, a lot of the time, even though he was blind, was that he was the chief librarian for Argentina.
Oh. We were both in Argentina.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Wait. What's the score?
Well, I actually had a correction, so it's actually 1-0. But
Oh. But what do they get? Do they get something?
that they do. As a matter of fact, win or lose, everyone gets lucky on Shoot the Moon. Both of our participants have won a sticker, a big Wild Rose Moon sticker.
Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for playing. shoot the moon, and everybody wins. It's a great, great thing. So next up, right after the break, we will feature some more songs and conversation with Corinne and Marty Lucas of the Innovative Indiana Band, Return to Normal.
With support from Tom Kapazinskis and with additional support from Marshall County Community Foundation and the Indiana Arts Commission, Marshall County Tourism, and E. Lee Marshall. From historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, it's the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Well, welcome back to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. We're here with Corinne and Marty Lucas of Return to Normal, and we're going to hear another fine song in just a minute. But before that, Matt, I believe we have a special segment of our radio show tonight.
That's right, George, we sure do. But you know, there's actually something we missed. We have a special guest at this radio show, too, which our radio viewers can't see. But you know who that is the person sitting above me. We forgot to mention.
That's right, Rosie. Let's give a hand to Rosie. That's right.
But after that, we do have some words of wisdom from our hard-working sound engineer, Mr. Nate Butler.
There's nothing so profound or great as a moment with Nate.
Hi, Nate.
Hi, George. Oh, man. Forgot to turn that reverb off.
Oh, man, that can happen to you.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah.
Oh, this is
I try to keep it off whenever I'm in the bedroom.
No reverb in the bedroom.
Yeah,
That's
right.
good. Yeah, this is delicious whoopie pie, by the way. It's probably not the best time to be eating it,
Yeah.
but
It's a good thing to have.
sometimes inspiration strikes.
Yeah. What have you been learning about audio? I'm always fascinated by all these buttons and sliders and kinds of things. Those of you who can't see this at home, it's really just a parade of lights going off and on. It's like Christmas all the time.
Well, it's very, like many things in life, it's heavily inspired by childhood toy colors.
Oh,
Very-
yeah.
Very bright and primary. 'Cause,
That's why I like it. Are you saying you're a kid at heart?
Sure, let's take that spin on it.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
Okay.
That was a very profound moment with Nate. Okay, thank you. And thank you for that lovely theme music, too. We're back with Return to Normal, and it looks like they're going right to it. So we're going to let them intro this section with a song.
This next song, Corinne mentioned sometimes she talks about something she was doing. She had gone out and was being a volunteer to help out with the cemetery, fixing up a cemetery that had been neglected. And she was telling about how, the names in there weren't really familiar names in the community anymore, and made me think about that whole situation and how people, the Midwest diaspora, essentially. And so that's what this is about. It's called the Briars and the Broom, because Briars and Broom are things that will grow up in a neglected house site where nobody goes around there anymore, The morning frost sparkled on the briars and the broom as they packed up the van. by a house in the corn, and they took what would fit if it wasn't too old, and they wore their tough skin, and they took what they learned, and they never returned. No, they never returned. And a handful of crows watched atop a dead tree as that screen door slammed shut back in '73, and a corn picker clattered from half a mile away, and then the crows scattered into the November gray, and they never returned. No, they never returned. They lived in Las Vegas till about 81, dealing cards or whatever would get the job done. After that, we kind of lost touch. Where they're at, I just can't say. Old friends like the summertime move on and they fade away, and they never return. No, they never return. They never return.
Never return.
They never return.
Never
They never return.
Never.
No, no. Center pivot, irrigation rolls over their old yard, and they seem to leave it running even when it's raining hard, and the house was dozed down and burned with the trees, and they never returned. No, they never returned. Now we're in a little cemetery on a little sand road. Many stones are toppled and the grass don't get mowed, 'cause those names ain't familiar to folks round here now, and they never return. No, they never return. They never return.
Never
They
return.
never return.
Never
They
return.
never return.
Never.
No, no.
I think maybe, I feel like you're kind of chronicling, like a historian might, or like an ethnographer might. You're chronicling these experiences. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, I mean, I try to actually draw on things that I personally sort of halfway, observe, and you sort of glom them together into a pastiche of related events, because storytelling isn't necessarily about a particular accuracy. It's kind of a cumulative accuracy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Drawing together various vignettes that tell a story that's similar across, or kind of build the story.
And anytime you do a story about this area, it's really important to have corn involved.
Yeah.
I do what I can,
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. Just do us another one.
Yeah, we got one more here.
Tell a story, though.
Yeah, this one, well, the Jorge Luis Borges came up earlier, and this is my interaction, my little interaction with Jorge Luis Borges. This occurred, what's the year about? Anyway, the late 70s, I think. And I was in a coffee shop in Bloomington, Indiana, called the 2-Bit Rush, where everybody sat at these tables. It's something like a coffee shop today. Coffee shops today are very clean and nice, and everybody is very proper. But at those times, you opened the door to a coffee house and smoke poured out, and the beans were being burned in there, basically, and everybody was smoking cigars, and everybody sat at tables, and they're all talking to each other, all cranked up on caffeine. And Jorge Luis Borges comes in and sits at the table next to me in there, and I'm going, wow. And that's what this song's about. A long time before Starbucks and all that barista jive, I drank a lot of coffee at the 2-Bit Rush, a little college town dive, where half a dozen round oak tables, each circled by a dozen unmatched chairs. You sit right down with strangers, cool jazz and lively conversation fill the smoky air. I went to his lecture 2 days before, so I recognized him right away when he walked in through the door. A studious gentleman in his late 70s, gray hair and overcoat that billowed in the winter breeze. His assistant showed him to a chair at the table where I was sitting, but he didn't see me there. And I thought, like, what do you say to the Latin Hemingway? Oh, coffee with Borges. Yeah, 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 yeah. Coffee with Borges. Now there's 7 billion human souls. This planet is so very full, but it seems they've all got a story to tell. But here's the navigator to our collective dreams, the polyglot translator, bend in time with just the secret magic of his mind. So I wanted to say something clever, or at least express my respects. Ask him what in his long life turned out to be worthwhile, and what brought only pain, loss, and regret. But in the end, I spoke not a single word, remained invisible, unspoken and unheard. But there's still this little snapshot in my brain, though with the passing time it's pale and creased and blurred. Whoa, coffee with Borges. Yeah, 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 yeah. Coffee with Borges. That's how I time before Starbucks and all that barista jive. I drank a lot of coffee at the two-bit rush, a little college town dive.
What a great story. What a great story.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate that.
We really appreciate you being here today. And did you say you had one more song?
We do have another song. Yeah.
We could probably go ahead and record it. We may not get in the show.
And it features the fabulous Corinne singing some pretty and this one is based, I want to say real quick, this one is based on a song in Carl Sandburg's American Song Bag. He found a series along the Ohio River of songs called Levy Moans. And I thought they were pretty neat, but they were too old-timey, and I wanted to bring back the Levy Moan, so I used a couple of lines from Carl Sandburg and then made this song called a 21st Century Levy Moan. And it features, as I say, Corinne, who's gonna rock the house on this one, let me tell you.
Before I end, I just want to remark on
I heard it a couple times.
your beautiful, beautiful voice. Doesn't she have a gorgeous voice? And you've been singing a long time, right? You've been singing. Did you grow up like singing?
Oh, sure.
Right out of the womb. Just right.
There's some people here that have been probably hearing me sing longer
Zippity-doo-dah.
than anybody. In church, that's
Everybody in her family, they all got great voices, and they're all different, too. All have different approaches, and they're all very unique, and yet they all have great voices, too.
That's cool.
It's definitely in the blood.
Well, lay it down for us right there.
I'm gone It's blue, just blue. It's blue.
Marty and Corin Lucas. Corin and Marty Lucas. Return to normal. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. We hope you'll come back. We hope you'll come back. And you can stay up here and sing with us if you'd like, because we're about ready to go out here.
With support from Judith Robert and the memory of our good friend Tom Kapazinskas, with additional support from Marshall County Community Foundation, Gibson Insurance, Gibson Foundation, and Ely Marshall, you've been listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Well, thank you, Matt Scutchfield. John Baylor, our music producer. Thanks to North Judson's own Marty and Corinne Lucas of the band Return to Normal. Thanks to South Bend songwriter Doug Harsh. Thanks to Jerry Merzel for his percussion work. Priestley Absolutions. Thanks to Nate Butler for his live mixing and recording and editing of our show. Also thanks to our stage manager, Howard Gibbs, our photographer, Matthew Bergmoser, and our video and web producer, Jim Yoakum. Thanks to English major Elena Peacock for joining our writing team. Kudos to the sparkling hospitality team, Jennifer Reed, Cindy Davis, Matt Scutchfield, and Martina Sim. And a special shout out to Moonlight Maker living out in Baltimore, Maryland, Jean Pazdirk. And finally, a special thanks to Michelle Schricker for her applause skills, organizing acumen, and her undying support of the moon, its mission, and me. John, are you maximally aware of the synergetic underpinnings of time-space, written in the dancing whirls of your artfully constructed fingerprints, forcefully placed on the vibrating strands, bouncing on your Toronto-branded Larrivee-built soundbox?
I am becoming ever more aware. So when you think you've lost that light, all pain and heartache fill your soul with strife, just remember, as you're tumbling down, it won't be long till the river goes round.
Here it comes now. The river goes round, around the bend. The river goes round, round, round till the very end. And when it stops again. It won't be long till the river goes round. It won't be long till the river goes round and round and round, my friend. Nate, what's the verdict?
George, I can reply in the affirmative that I left the reverb on again, but otherwise, we are good to go.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. I hope you enjoyed it.